Rome abruptly released his hold on her. He gripped hard at the side of the boat and stared at the deep blue waters below. She couldn't have said it any clearer. She may be attracted to him physically, but she won't ever let herself fall for him. Her heart will never belong to him. Why did that thought hurt so much? Why did he feel like a scalpel has been plunged deep into his chest? For the very first time in Rome Alves's life, he found it hard to breathe. It was very much like having a heart attack. Alex was still speaking, unaware of the turmoil happening inside him, and he struggled to concentrate on what she was saying. He wished he hadn't. Her next words served to rip his heart further apart. And you know what? I think your playboy lifestyle just goes to show you're the coward, Mr. Alves. With sheer force, and because it had become a saving habit for him, he detached himself from the waves of emotions that were coming so close to overpowering him, crushing it down hard with his customary sneer. Careful, Miss Hernandez. You're bordering on imitation. You're not being original at all, she paid no mind to his scathing remark. You turned your back on your sworn profession because you couldn't accept your failure. You race at top speed because you're running away from everything you've worked hard for. Rome's face turned stone cold on the outside. Inwardly, he was desperately striving to quash the violent amalgam of emotions threatening to consume him. His chest rose and fell as he struggled to get a hold of himself. Are you by any chance now practicing your own sworn profession, Miss Hernandez? She went on as if she didn't hear him. And you seek for Ava every time you indulge in relentless sex and senseless lust. But inside, you're lonely and you're hurting because no one can ever replace her. So you cloak it with indifference, bury it under the pretense of coldness. You blindly jump from one woman to another. But not one has barely scratched the surface of your heart because no one can satisfy you, he sneered. You're wrong there. You presume too much. And you're also wrong about not being satisfied. I am always physically satisfied. Which, by the way, is what you are missing, he snapped. Alex snapped back at him. And which is totally shallow. A truly satisfying physical intimacy nurtures a deep, solid relationship between two people, built on mutual trust and respect that lasts forever. That's what I want, Mr. Alves, he turned to her then, with face harshly set, a smirk on his lips. Really? Is that the way you and Tom feel about each other? Mutual trust and respect with a satisfying physical intimacy, of course, she hastily replied with a frown. Rome smiled humorlessly. You're lying again, her nostrils flared. Mr. Alves, I can read you like a book, Miss Hernandez. Whatever your relationship is with him, I don't think you and Tom share a deep mutual trust and respect. And speaking of intimacy, does he satisfy you physically, Mr. Alves? She retorted indignantly, her cheeks firing up. Don't bother to answer, Rome barked at her. He dragged his hand through his hair, his mouth tight, his expression pained. Then, throwing caution to the wind, he reached out for her and kissed her. Fire flared and spread instantly, racing wildly inside him. For a second, panic gripped him as the unfamiliar and frightening passion blazed through him. Unfamiliar because he had never felt this kind of heat before. Frightening because as someone known to have full control of his emotions, this was one instance he felt his restraint was dangerously slipping. But the panic was quickly replaced by the incapacitating surge of desire which he didn't have the strength to deny to himself. Her lips were heaven and honey rolled into one. Since they first kissed, he had been completely, utterly enslaved by the enchantment that was her velvety, nectarine pair of lips. Kissing her was what his entire being hankered for every night. What he was waiting for, eager for, every day, all his life. And so, like the last kiss, he poured out his heart, his mind, and everything that he is, in it, conveying all of them. All of himself. It was a kiss at once urgent and pleading, begging to be reciprocated. His reward came when her mouth blossomed like a flower, welcoming him, permitting him access. With a groan, he devoured it with his tongue, urgent, hungry, thirsty, all at the same time, feeling a great sense of joy and exhilaration when he heard her moan softly. Their mouths and tongues danced the sensual tango, perfectly attuned and synchronized, untiring and unrelenting. The kiss grew deeper and deeper, and Rome could feel himself drowning in its quicksand depths. Wanting more, needing more.